Welcome to the new generation Ford Ranger. It replaces the most successful Australian designed and engineered vehicle ever made in this country. It's one of our national bestsellers, and it has the future of Ford Australia riding on its redesigned rear cargo bed. I'm so excited to be one of the first people outside of Ford to drive the new generation Ranger, because so much has changed, in fact more than meets the eye.
Which is why I'm here with key in hand to the long-awaited Ranger V6 Turbo Diesel. This is our very first taste behind the wheel on a high-speed circuit, as well as over the tough off-road section at Ford's Yuyangs Proving Ground near Melbourne, the home of the entire T62 Global Ranger program.
So listen up, because we're about to find out exactly how the last of the great Aussie legends stacks up. But before we do, this video is split into chapters with the time codes displayed right here. But you can skip to any point you like thanks to the chapter markers in the timeline below.
Plus, we already have stacks of stories about the new Gen Ranger, as well as the exciting Raptor version and redesigned Everest SUV, available for you to check out right now at the CarsGuide website. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can also hit the bell icon for notifications of all our upcoming videos when they drop. Because this was filmed months ago, well before full-scale production commenced in Thailand, we're in a late-stage Ranger dual cab prototype that more or less equates to the Wildtrak V6 that's sure to be one of the best sellers. Naturally, Ranger prices are up across the board, from nearly $36,000 for the base XL single cab chassis to just over $70,000 for the Wildtrak dual cab pickup V6 you see here. And if you long for the Ranger Raptor V6 twin turbo petrol flagship, well, that's approaching $90,000 nowadays. For more information, go to the CarsGuide website for all the pricing details. There's a pop-out link if you're on YouTube at the top of the screen, or find the link in the description down below.
It's very obvious that the Ford F-Series has provided the design inspiration for the new generation Ranger, and that's obvious in the C-shaped headlights and the new grille treatment, amongst other areas. But, of course, there's also the engine. In the top line version is this 3-litre V6 turbo diesel, which provides plenty of punch, and when we go for a drive later on, you'll see just how much better that is compared to the current range. Now, moving around, there's 50mm more width in the track, front and rear, as well as 50mm more in the wheelbase. And what this does is fundamentally change the proportions of the Ranger compared to the old car. The bonnet sits higher, the sheet metal is all new, and the rear cargo bed has changed completely.
Of course, since making this film, all the camouflage has come off, so for more details about the design of the new Ranger, inside and out, please go to the CarsGuide site or hit one of the links below, and as usual, please do subscribe to catch all our latest videos. Since this is a prototype of the Wildtrak dual cab, and not everything is quite in its final production spec form, we can't tell you much about the interior, other than it is both extremely familiar, as well as a dramatic departure from the old Ranger. The familiarity comes from the same basic dimensions, even though Ford says that the redesign has brought minor gains in cabin space. But current owners will instantly appreciate the reach as well as tilt adjustable steering column at last, completely different dashboard with its huge portrait touchscreen, electronic instrumentation display, and nicer quality cabin materials. What they make of the newfangled electronic automatic gear lever remains to be seen. It's a bit fiddly at first, but maybe we'll get used to it after a while. Never mind. The seats are snug and comfy, the driving position is A1, and there is absolutely no shortage of storage. And in our all too brief time inside, the ventilation system helps us keep our cool over the demanding 4x4 track. We'll wait for the launch versions before we can comment on how well the new Ranger is built, how much better the new multimedia system is, and if it's more refined to ride in compared to before. But for now, so far, so good. Everybody wants to know what the new Power Stroke 3-litre V6 turbo diesel is really like. Delivering 184 kilowatts of power and 600 newton meters of torque, it is paired solely to a 10-speed torque converter automatic transmission. No manual alternative is available. Being a Wildtrak, it sends drive through a new electronic on-demand four-wheel drive system with full-time four-wheel drive that varies drive to the front or rear wheels as required. Now there are 6 driving modes available: normal, eco, tow/haul, and slippery for on-road driving, and mud/ruts and sand for use off-road. Each alter engine throttle, transmission, braking, traction and stability controls. There's also an electronic rear differential lock which can be activated via the new SIG4 multimedia screen for improved off-road traction. Cheaper versions will stick with the standard part-time 4x4 setup that offers 4x2, 4x4 low and 4x4 high ranges. Still on going off the beaten track, there are now dual recovery hooks incorporated up front and more prominently placed for easier use. Many months out from launch, we're here at the famous durability circuit deep within Ford's Yuyangs Proving Ground to try out the Ranger V6 for the first time. For all you students of Australian motoring history, this is the same course that helped make generations of the Ford Falcon the so-called Great Australian Road Car, from the early 60s right to the end of Ford's local production in 2016. Keep in mind though, that it's only 3 fast laps in the new Ranger V6 Wildtrak. It's supervised at all times by nervous Ford personnel as we're in the extremely expensive pre-production prototype, and we're not forgetting that driving a Ford at the Yuyangs gives the new truck a home ground advantage since it's literally been designed and developed to be its best right here. But this quick spin is still more than enough for us to give you an initial taste of the changes made between old and new Ranger. And to refresh our memories, we've also had a run in the old Ranger, a PX Series 3 Wildtrak bi-turbo that highlights the many advances of the latest version. Anyway, we're strapped in and finally ready to go, so let's do this.
Is this one small step for Ford but one giant leap for pickup kind? I guess we'll find out when we're driving the final production version of the 2023 Ranger, but until then, I can tell you right now that with this V6 engine and much smoother and responsive 10-speed automatic transmission, Ford might be on a good wicket here. Well, my initial impression jumping into this car and feeling the first corner is that the steering is surprisingly light and easy. From an everyday drivability point of view, I think that there is a fluence and ease to this car's handling and cornering capability that should keep it well ahead of the current crop of one-ton pickups. So this is the all-new four-wheel drive system that is road focused in this current state. Right now, we're about to hit some bumps at 80 kilometers an hour because apparently everything has changed in this car pretty much. Fine-tooth comb style. Look, there you go. There you go. As you can see, by the fact that the folds of skin around my neck aren't moving, this thing is actually keeping extremely composed. And that was one of the hallmarks of the previous Ranger, and that is class-leading control, driver input and feedback. And I think already this vehicle, even on these all-terrain type tyres, feels a step ahead of what came before. Well, more than a step, perhaps a whole leap forward. And then of course there's an isolating ride. I think isolating ride is how you describe this. It just does not feel like I am driving something with an empty cargo bed behind me. Now I assume the cargo bed is empty behind me. Is that empty?
It is, yeah.
And we are obviously on leaf springs, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good question. Like, that's a compliment. Are we actually on leaf springs, or could we be on a coil sprung suspension?
This is a leaf sprung suspension on this vehicle.
Yeah. I gotta say, I actually enjoyed, because of its more on-road biased tyres, I enjoyed the Wildtrak on leaf springs more than the Raptor on the knobbly tyres and coils around Lang Lang.
So, after 3 quick laps in the new Ranger V6 that ended all too soon, we're quietly confident that Ford might have upped the ante in terms of engine performance, handling capability and ride comfort. And the sound of that 3-litre V6 just elevates the experience even further. Clearly, we need to drive the Ranger away from its home base before we know definitively, but all the signs are extremely promising indeed. And it was also telling to see just how good the old version still feels behind the wheel. Ford also gave us an opportunity to try out the new Ranger V6's capabilities off-road. Again, back to back with the old Wildtrak, just to see how far it's come. And being a Wildtrak, it had the new electronic four-wheel drive system. And the biggest takeaway here is just how easy it is to drive the new model off-road by selecting one of the drive modes on screen and letting the vehicle do the rest. That screen displays driveline and diff lock status, steering angle and vehicle pitch and roll angles, so it comes in quite handy. It's also quite surprising how much more planted and sure-footed the new Ranger feels. Ford's claims about the Ranger having more wheel travel and suspension articulation are realised driving the new Ranger over the deep ruts and potholes that make up the Yuyang's off-road course, with the suspension doing a great job soaking up or traversing the bumps and thumps as required. Plus, the V6 has the torque to really pull up very steep inclines without struggling at all, while the new hill descent tech takes care of going down again without the driver having to break a sweat. In fact, it's how composed and in control the vehicle now feels off-road that separates the new from old Ranger, backed up by an engine that offers ample performance while doing it. Like we said, we'll need to take the new Ford out in the real world to make sure it's as good as it feels around the Yuyangs. But first impressions suggest that few other mid-sized trucks anywhere in the world can offer the sort of bandwidth that the new generation Ranger seems to have in spades. We can't wait for that to happen. At the time this video was made, Ford had not yet revealed the official consumption figures for the new Ranger V6 turbo diesel, or in fact any engine for that matter. But it does include stop-start tech, as well as a heavily revised version of the 10-speed automatic transmission that is claimed to have improved operating efficiency, so fingers remain crossed that the fuel economy won't be too bad this time around. It's too early for the new Ranger to have an ANCAP crash test rating, but Ford fully expects another 5-star result. How? There's been a boost in passive safety with 9 airbags now fitted, including the addition of a centre airbag for the front seat occupants. On the active safety front, there's now autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, blind spot alert, cross traffic alert with trailer coverage, and available 360-degree camera views. Ford offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty with 5 years roadside assistance. Nothing new there. Other details, including what the Ranger's ownership and servicing information are, will be available on the CarsGuide website closer to the new model's launch.
After more than 6 years of blood, sweat and tears, millions of kilometres of testing and heaps of customer feedback that have helped shape the Ranger to what we see today, what can I say? It is a huge step forward for the car. In fact, I would go as far as saying that it might be one small step for the Ranger, but it's one giant step for pickup kind. Anyway, this is at Ford's proving ground, so we'll have to wait until we get it out in the real world to see exactly how good the new generation Ranger is. And don't forget to stay tuned for more information on the production version of New Gen Ranger across our tradie, adventure and family guide.